Well, good evening. We want to welcome you to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And I tell you, we're just so excited for tonight. It's just continuation on the last two episodes, part 3 of things I wish someone would have told me about the blended family. And so we're just going to jump right into this. I'd say it's just been a phenomenal discussion that we've been having. A lot of people have been impacted and blessed by it. And so we just want to pick back where we left off. I tell you, there's just so many things that we can just, this is a particular topic that we can spend a lot of time on, because there's so many things that we wish somebody would have told us about the blended family. And there are so many things that people have told us they wish someone would have told them about the blended family. And so we just wanted to kick this month off with just laying some foundational pieces so we can build upon it. Because I tell you, this year is going to be exciting. There's going to be some things that people are going to be like, wow, they really did this, or they're really doing that. And we're going to be discussing it. We're going to be talking about it. Some interviews we're going to have with some different individuals that's just going to be like, oh my goodness, I thought this was just talk, but it seems like this is real. And so we just want to get you guys prepared for this upcoming year. We're going into 1 year anniversary on February the 14th. It'll be 1 year, but it'll actually be February the 13th. The broadcast will be 1 year sharing In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And so we're just excited. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So we all give them some of the statistics that we have.
There are 14 million blended moms in the U.S. today.
Mm-hmm.
Only about 1/3 of blended family marriages last until death do them part.
Wow.
And marriage and blended family education is effective in promoting marital quality and stability.
So the first stat was there are 14 million blended moms in the U.S. today. That's a lot of moms. Want to thank you guys for taking that role and doing it successfully. And so that's kudos to you. Only about 1/3 of blended family marriages last until death do them part. And so that's something that we definitely want to improve upon. We're going to improve upon. That's a part of our campaign, assisting the marriage made easy. And so blended families are made easy. And so we want to encourage you guys that in spite of any obstacle or test you may go through, you ultimately hold the key to the success of that marriage relationship and that family. And so we want to change this from 1/3 to all of them are successful. And so the last one was marriage and blended family education is effective in promoting marital quality and stability. So again, guys, if you want quality, if you want a quality blended family, if you want a quality marriage, you have to get education. Education is important. There's nothing wrong with reading books, with reading blogs, with reading material about marriage, about blended families. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to be a mechanic, then you're going to read about mechanics. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a race car driver, you're going to read about that. Anything you want to be, you're going to read about whatever it is so that you can be well informed and able to do that to the best of your abilities. And so that's the same way it is when you're talking about this blended family dynamic. There are so many things that myself, I read. I mean, I'm just like a sponge. I'm reading things all the time because I want to have the best marriage now. Right. I want to have the best blended family now. And so in order for me to obtain that, then that means there are some things that I'm going to have to do in order to be successful in doing that. And this is something that success doesn't just happen because you want it. Success happens because you put effort into a desire. Mm-hmm. And so there was a desire that we had to be blessed. There was a desire that we had to have the best, because again, this is both of our second marriage. And so we're bringing in two different systems, and we wanted to make sure that we maximize and got out of this thing everything that we wanted from it. And so we read and read and read, and we're still reading. And so in order, again, that last stat is very important because marriage and blended family education is effective. It's very effective, but you have to put it into effect in order to get the effectiveness out of it. And so if you want to promote marital quality and stability, start educating yourself. And so now we're going to move into things I wish someone would have told me about the blended family part 3. And so what is the first thing we have?
A blended family is very different than a traditional family. Everything that worked the first time may not work this time around.
Exactly. So understand this. A blended family is very different than a traditional family. How? There's so many dynamics that make up a blended family. You got one person could have been divorced, one person could have been single, two people could have been divorced. You could have someone that may have had a child out of wedlock. Someone may have adopted some children. So there are so many different ways that you can comprise a blended family. And so because of that, it's very different than a traditional family. The traditional family is two people coming together, never been married before, never had children before, and then they come and now they are fruitful and they're multiplying. That's the traditional family.
Right.
But the blended family is so different. And so when you understand that there are things that you can pull out of the blended family that you couldn't pull out of the traditional family. Because there's some things in the blended family that you could have learned early on that if you apply correctly, then guess what? You can already be a step ahead as it relates to your family now. There were some things that we learned previously that we knew, okay, this works, but this doesn't. Or this works, but we may just can't do it that way. And so when you have that information and that understanding, then you can maneuver around that thing so much better because you understand what you're dealing with. And so the first one is a blended family is very different than a traditional family. What's the second one?
Your second marriage will be different than your first,
What?
especially with children being involved. You will need to learn a new set of rules. Not only will you have the traditional challenges as a family, but now top that off with the addition of challenges as a family. Wait a minute. But now top that off with an addition of children who have been through a traumatic divorce and ex-spouses who inevitably... Can you read that part?
Reading is fundamental.
You be have me reading stuff, and I'm like, wait, did you?
Yeah, okay. No,
It makes people think I can't read.
You got your glasses on. I got my glasses on.
Okay, then you read that.
So second marriage will be different than your first.
Yes, I
so
got
let's
that.
understand that.
Right.
Especially with children being involved. And that's something that people have to, especially, because we're talking about the second marriage. When you have children involved, it's going to be different because you're bringing children that aren't yours biologically, but you're setting a standard for them as if they were.
Right.
And so it's very different. You will need to learn a new set of rules. Now, that's something that we had to learn. The new set of rules, the set of rules that we had previously wasn't effective for this new dynamic. So you have to set up a new set of rules. Not only will you have the traditional challenges as a family, because every family has challenges, not only will you have those challenges, but now top that off with the addition of children who have been through a traumatic divorce and ex-spouses who inevitably bring issues to the mix. So you got a whole lot of things that come into this blended family, especially this second marriage. And so you got children who aren't yours biologically. You got ex-spouses who may have issues. Not all of them do, but there are some that do, and they bring that along as well. And so you have to understand that you have to deal with all of this. It's not something that is going to go away or you can wish it that wasn't so. There's some things you're going to have to hit straight on, head on, and you're going to have to be mature about it. You're going to have to be wise about it, and you're going to have to show love. And when you do those things, you're going to inevitably get all the results and desires that you want. And so anything you want to add to that? What's the next one?
Despite the challenges, couples who are committed to work together can create successful and thriving blended families.
Read that again.
Despite the challenges, couples who are committed to work together can...
Stop. Despite the challenges, couples who are committed to work together. Pause. You have to be committed to work together.
Yeah.
There's going to be challenges. There's going to be ups. There's going to be some downs. There's going to be some hiccups, some things that we wish we would have done better, some things that we wish we wouldn't have done at all. There's going to be some things we wish we would have done. And so those are challenges. But in order for those challenges, in order for you to be successful through those challenges or in those challenges, you have to be committed to work together. There's nothing more satisfying. There's nothing more peaceful and loving than knowing you got a spouse that's committed to work together with you through every challenge that you have.
Right, regardless of what it is.
Regardless of what it is. I mean, one of the challenges that we had early on, especially with my son, because I was paying child support, was that additional money leaving out the house. And so because my wife was committed to working together with me, that wasn't an issue or as big of an issue as it could have been had she not been committed to work with me. That could have been a strenuous, arduous thing that we dealt with because there was extra money that was going out. And there was money that you wanted to account for the household, but you knew it had to go elsewhere. And so because we were committed to work through it, because we were committed to coming up with creative ways and ideas to increase financially, that no longer became an issue because every desire and every need we had was already being met. But if you're not on one accord, if you're not touching and agreeing, if you're not committed to moving beyond that challenge, for many people that's big. Yeah. There's so many people that are separated even in their new marriage, even in their blended family because of financial challenges, things of that nature, child support, spousal support, all of those different things. But to be successful, there has to be commitment.
Right.
There has to be commitment. And so, despite the challenges, couples who are committed to work together can do what? Create successful and thriving blended families. Man, you can create a successful and thriving blended family when you committed to work together. Creation is brought about by agreement.
Right.
That something must take place. And so because we were together, we were agreed in everything that we did, there were some creative things that began to flow that just assisted us in making whatever challenge we had, it made us overcomers in it. Whether it was rearing of the children, discipline, finances, whether it was things that we did as a family, whatever it was, because we were committed to it, to the success of that family, it just made things much easier. You want to add something to that? What's the next one?
Studies have shown that less than 25% seek relationship or educational help before marriages, and less than 50% even read a book on remarriage or blended families.
This is studies, man. I mean, this is something this isn't something that we're just running off the dome with. This isn't something that we just thought about and say, you know what, it sounds good. No, there are people that specifically are studying blended families, remarriage, things of that nature. And this is what they're finding out, that less than 25% seek relationship or educational help before marriage. Less than 25% of people. And you wonder why things are so hard. You wonder why there's so many challenges. I remember there was a book we read. It was shaped like a stop sign. It was called Stop.
Oh, yeah.
And it was written by Mac and Brenda Timmerlake. Awesome, 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 awesome read. Awesome read. Pioneers in the body of Christ throughout the years. I believe Mac passed on, Apostle Mac passed on years ago. But that read was awesome. I mean, it was revolutionary for us because there were some things that we read. We was like, wow. And we're telling you that's a book you want to get. It's called Stop. And so, again, it was something that we read. I mean, it just was phenomenal. And we want to encourage you guys, listen, you have to read. Less than 25% of people are seeking relationship or educational help. You want to be successful, you got to read. You got to seek this information. It's not a shortage of information. It's not a shortage of help. It's just a shortage of individuals seeking that help, seeking that information. And then it says less than 50% even read a book
on remarriage or blended families.
Now watch this.
Period.
But no, let's go with remarriage. If you're in a second marriage, it's evident that there was something that wasn't right with the first. It's something that didn't go right with the first. It's evident. But you're not going to take the time to read something that's going to assist you from making those same mistakes or those same areas of judgment. You want to seek that because you don't want to continue to go on doing the same things. That's what insanity is. Doing the same thing, expecting something different.
Yep.
And so that's insane. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get a different result doing the same thing. In order to prevent myself or anybody from doing the same thing, you have to be educated on what you need to do opposite of those things. Because there's a way that seems right.
Yeah.
That's the word says. The Bible says that. There's a way that seems right, but the end is destruction. And many people are being destroyed because it seems right to them.
To them, yeah.
It seems right to them. You know, it seems right that you treat your spouse this way or you treat your children this way. There was things that it seemed right to me early on. It seemed right that I would act a certain way with my children, but I was reaping destruction. I was reaping a failed marriage. I was reaping a failed relationship. And when I quickly realized that, man, I made those adjustments quickly.
Right.
Because I knew what I wanted. I may have not been successful the first time, but I was going to be successful the second time.
Right.
And so I made sure that I invested in myself and I invested in my marriage and my relationship and my family so that I can reap all that I wanted to reap from this dynamic. What's the next one?
Most people make the same mistakes over and over and over again.
Most people make the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. And you know, that's one of the biggest things that, especially going into this blended family, sweetheart, people need to understand. Most people make those same mistakes. You know why? Because for them, it's not a mistake. A mistake isn't a mistake if you don't know it's a mistake.
Yeah.
Because for some people, it's not a mistake. You hanging out with your buddy, you hanging out with your friends, you hanging out with your girls, you doing all these things that you're taking time away from your family, from your home, from your marriage relationship. You're doing all these things that aren't productive. You know, you're talking to your family anyway. You're abusive in your language. You're abusive in your talk. All these different things you're doing. You're self-righteous. You're overly opinionated about every single thing that goes on. Those are what you look at as mistakes. But for you, if you don't understand that that's a mistake and it's something that's counterproductive, then for you it's not a mistake. But most people make the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. It's like the person that says, I was dating this person and this didn't work out because of this. I was dating this person and this didn't work out because of that. I was dating this person and this didn't work out because of that. I was dating this person and this didn't work out because of this. Well, guess what? It seems to me like you're the common denominator. You named 4 different people, but with those 4 different people, it lied you. And so in lying you means to me, or it tells me that there's something in you that you need to address. There's something in you that you keep turning a blind eye to, and you keep turning your head towards because you don't want to deal with yourself. I remember early on my wife said, "You just mean." Well, guess what? I wasn't mean to me.
You was mean.
To me, I wasn't mean. To me, I was all right. Y'all had the problem. It wasn't me. It was y'all.
Yeah. That seemed right to you, didn't it?
Yeah, it did seem right. It seemed completely right. It wasn't me. It was y'all.
It seemed right.
It seemed very right. But when I really sat down and I thought about how I responded, how I act, the things that I was doing, and again, to me, I wasn't wrong.
Right.
Because I could justify everything that I was doing. I could justify why I go in a room and close the door. I could justify why I was short about this, or why I saw things this way or saw things that way. I could justify why I thought the way I thought. But I didn't really look at the fact that, okay, you mean, no matter how you want to justify it, no matter how you want to put it in the eyes of your family, in the eyes of your wife, you're being mean. And so that was a mistake that was making on and on and on and on until I dealt with myself.
Right.
And so we want to encourage you guys, listen, you want to stop making those mistakes, or you keep going through the same episodes in your blended family or in your marriage or with your children, then start looking at what it is you're doing. Forget them. See, I had to stop looking at what my family was doing because it was easy for me to justify my actions based upon what it was they were doing. It was easy. It was real easy. I mean, I made it easy. But when I really took a time to look at it, I took the time to really assess where we were, where I wanted to be at, and why we weren't there. It all pointed back to me. And so, again, I wish somebody would have told me that. That's why we're telling you.
Right.
Because I wish somebody would have told me that most people make the same mistakes. I was making the same mistake, not knowing that a lot of things I was doing could have been the reason why I wasn't successful the first time. But I knew this time I was going to be successful. I knew this time I was going to put the effort into being successful, regardless of what I did or did not know.
Right.
And so, what's the last one, sweetie?
In a traditional family, both parents have an equal say, and big decisions are made. In a blended family, matters. Wait.
In a traditional family, both parents have an equal say in big decisions that are being made for the couple. In a blended family, it matters with the children, how the children will often be between the biological parents and the biological parent between the children. So it's important to understand that in a traditional family, both parents have an equal say. Both parents have an equal say in a blended family.
That's your mama and your daddy.
Because that's your mother and your father. They birth you. They're the reason why you're here. In the blended family, it's a little different because it could be the blended parent and the children,
right,
or the biological parent and the children. So there's not always, like early on, we had to sit down because I wanted to make sure that in our family, everybody had an equal say. And so we sat down with the girl's father to make sure that we were on the same page and on one accord. And because we gave him that respect and that honor because of his position in their life, it made what we had to do so much, especially myself, it made what I had to do so much easier because I opened him up to be a part of those decisions that were being made. I didn't shun them off like, okay, they're in my house, and in my house I make the rules as it relates to them, and what I say go. No, we sat down and said, okay, this is how I view this, and he told me this is how he viewed things, and we sat down and we came to a common ground. And once we came to that common ground, it just made everything so much easier. Even when I made mistakes, even when I didn't come up to par, it still made things easier because I opened that door for all of us to be on the same page. But most people don't understand that in a traditional family, both parents have equal say. But when you're in this blended dynamic, and you want to come in like I wanted to come in at times, like I'm the head honcho and I call the shots and nobody else's opinion mattered at that particular time, then guess what? You're going to have some problems.
Right.
And I quickly saw that I was having problems because I looked at it like I birthed those girls. Like they were my seed.
Right.
I'm the reason why they're here. And I didn't give credence, or I didn't give way to the fact that there was somebody else that participated in them being here, and I needed to respect and honor that, and then also respect and honor their opinions about things as well.
Right.
But again, most people don't know that, and most people don't understand that. So, oh my God, wow. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, got 4 minutes.
And so, oh my goodness, wow, we're at the end of this broadcast. Listen, guys, we just want to thank you. Next week episode is going to be something so different. It's going to be something, I mean, I'm working on something big. I hope I can pull this one off. If not, I still got something in store, but this one is going to be huge. And so we thank you guys for tuning in every Tuesday at 7:30 to End the Blender. Yes, Ada, that is food for thought. We thank you for that. It is food for thought because most people just don't see things from that standpoint. A lot of times we see things from our own set of lenses. It's kind of like the story about the neighbor that was looking out of their kitchen window at the other neighbor's laundry on the line. And every time they would wash their clothes, they would say, man, they got a terrible washing machine because them clothes sure are dirty. And every week they would say the same thing because that's how they were viewing the laundry on the line. Couldn't find out the reason why the clothes look so dirty is because they never took the time to clean their windows.
Right.
It's amazing when you don't take the time to deal with your view, to deal with your standpoint, to deal with how you see things, how bad things look for other people or on another set. But when you take the time to deal with yourself and clean up your thoughts and your visions, man, things will look a whole lot differently. And so that's why we share this with you guys, because we want to give you guys a different set of lenses. We want to give you guys a different way of viewing things, because when you get something different, you can now produce something different.
Right.
And so we thank you all. We love you. We just so excited that you want to spend 30 minutes with us every Tuesday at 7:30 on In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And as always, we're going to close out with our final thought.
Always remember that every family is different and may have different challenges. So every blended family challenge should be addressed individually, depending upon the challenge.
The personalities are different, so you want to use measures that work for you.
One of the main things that you should always do is keep the lines of communication open in the blended family.
Parents should always show unity in front of the children. Always show unity in front of the children. Always show unity in front of the children, even if they don't secretly agree with each other, or even if they don't agree with each other.
Right. Showing that you are unified diffuses the enemy's attacks in the blended family.
Lastly, you want to always demonstrate patience.
Having patience to work through the difficult challenges in the blended family will bring about a happy blended family.
And remember, you became a blended family because you chose to. Now choose to be successful. We love you guys. We thank you for tuning in to In the Blender. 7:30 next week. We see some exciting stuff coming.
And if you have any questions or comment, email us at weareablendedfamily@gmail.com.
Give it to them one more time.
weareablendedfamily@gmail.com.
Until next week, we love you guys.